Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the middest of range, the premier place on the internet for the most absolute mid of mid takes. You don't believe me? Let's think back to yesterday's video where I declared that a 2-0 series lead was nothing to worry about. We still got a long series ahead of us, probably a few good games. Well, now today I'm here to tell you with another mid take that in fact 3-0 does mean that the series is over. Dallas, you guys can pack it up and go home. I'm sorry. It's tough, but it is what it is. I just kind of want to run through last night's game because I was able to see at least a little bit more of this one than the first two. The first observation that really stuck out to me like immediately out the gate was no Kristaps Porzingis. Makes a big difference for both teams. It completely changes the way that both of them play. Uh, it's a big deal for the Celtics not having a 7-footer on defense to protect the rim, but he also does make a big difference to their offense as well. He can stretch the floor for some pretty well for somebody his size, and it's also kind of understated how much value a 7-footer can bring offensively in the paint too. Like, you know how much easier it is for those guys to score at the basket. I think not having KP on defense was a big part of why Kyrie Irving was able to get going early in this one. He had like 20 points in the first half. He was able to just kind of fight his way into the paint and, do his little handles and everything, score in there because they didn't have a 7-footer there to block him. Instead, it was like Al Horford, like Al Horford's the corpse of Al Horford, basically. How old is this guy? And he's still starting in the NBA Finals. I mean, good for him. They're about to sweep. Um, another thing that really stuck out was Jason Tatum avenges himself in this one. It does make me feel good about my other mid take from yesterday where I said that Tatum is the Celtics' best player because he did really look like it last night. Yeah, on top of all the other good things that I already said he was doing, he continued to do that, but he was also able to score in this one as well. He had 20 points at the half as well. And interestingly enough, he was kind of like the only Celtics player in the first half to really get going. The rest of them really struggled. I think they were shooting like 33% at halftime from three, which the fact that they were only down one at halftime, that was kind of telling to me. I was already starting to think, oh boy, this isn't looking good for Dallas. No Kristaps, the Celtics can't hit their threes, and they still might win this one. It was around this time, the halftime into the third quarter, where I started experiencing some power outages. We had some bad weather here in Minnesota, so I did miss some of these games, but ultimately I was able to catch the end of the third and fourth quarter. I kind of came back in right in the middle of Jaylen Brown's heater when he just scored like 15 points or something crazy in the third quarter, and he really turned it on and made a good case for himself being the best Celtics player out there. Right now my money's kind of on him to win Finals MVP. Honestly, he's had a really great series so far, and going into the fourth, it was a close game, but I was kind of thinking to myself, even if Dallas ends up winning this game, pulling it out somehow, I still kind of think this series is over. Just like I said, with everything else, the way everything is going, no KP for the Celtics, and they're still doing a good job staying in this one. They weren't hitting their threes at first; they still stayed in the game. And Dallas got a big Kyrie game. I know Luka wasn't as good as usual, but he still ended up with like 27 points or something like that, and they still weren't able to come away with this one. I don't think they have much of a shot at pulling out a game against the Celtics, especially if Kristaps comes back. Uh, with about 5-6 minutes left in the game, Luka falls out of the game. I know it was very controversial. That's kind of the big talk on Twitter and the just NBA discourse in general right now. A lot of people upset with the refs that they called that foul on Luka, and I honestly I kind of see both sides because on one hand, it was a foul. You look back on it, all Luka had 6 fouls in that game. All of them were legitimate fouls. So, on one hand, fair to the refs that they did foul him out. But on the other hand, I see where people are coming from where they're upset about this. This is the freaking NBA Finals, and you're calling that an offensive foul. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. Just for I just okay. Let me slow down a little bit. I think this is an important thing for me to put out there. A lot of people, when talking about basketball discourse, really like to bring up the X's and O's and point out that if you're not into that, then you just don't like ball like that. And I guess I'm a little bit into the X's and O's a little bit, but I guess I also don't like ball like that much because I'm much more of a narrative driven guy. I care way more about the storylines, the drama, the narratives. That's why I like reality TV. That's why I like all the nerdy shit that I'm into. And so, surprise, surprise, that's also part of what gets me into sports is the drama, the narrative, I'm here to see exciting shots, the most athletic people in the world do crazy things. I'm not here to see like, oh, he set up a bubble screen on the elbow. Like, fuck that, okay? I don't give a shit about that. And so fouling Luka out in this instance really goes against my core beliefs of making it a more entertaining game. Like, if I'm Adam Silver, I would be sitting there cursing out those refs under my breath. I'd be so pissed that you are just watering down my product right now that is supposed to be entertaining to millions and millions of people, and instead you just kicked out the most entertaining player with 5 minutes to go, basically eliminating their only shot at making a comeback in this one. But like I said, I do sort of understand where they're coming from with it was a legitimate foul. Okay, it was, but it's just a little ticky tack for the finals, don't you think? I don't like it. Uh, Beyond all this, I guess I just want to say congrats to the Celtics for winning the finals prematurely here. It's a huge day for racists. You guys are going crazy right now, rejoicing. It's a big day. This is just like 2016 all over again. So shout out to you all. Not really though. Fuck all of you.